Shabbat Shalom. My brother David was the first child in our family, 2.5 years my senior. I always wanted to do what he did, but sometimes I could not. For example, when he was 6 years old, he took the bus by himself every week to see his asthma doctor downtown. When I was 6, I was not allowed to take the bus myself and go downtown because my parents felt that I was not as mature as David had been at 6. But when David was ready to go to Hebrew school at 10, I pleaded with Mom and Dad to let me begin as well. My mother went to speak to the principal about me. At first, he refused. Mom then said to him, "You mean here is a child eager to be in Hebrew school and you won't allow it?" Then the principal changed his mind. I loved learning Hebrew as well as Jewish history and our holidays. I was the only girl in my class. When I was in 5th grade, the Hebrew school had a new principal who not only let girls participate, but from then on, girls were required to begin Hebrew school in 4th grade. Since I already was in my 3rd year, not until junior high was I in classes with my girlfriends. In my 3rd year, the only class for me was the bar mitzvah class. I often tutored classmates whose b'nai mitzvot were soon. The next year, I had the same class and again tutored some of the other students. At that time, b'nai mitzvah ceremonies were on Friday nights. They read the Haftorah, but not the Torah. Our cantor spoke to the principal and rabbi and explained that with my background, I should have my bat mitzvah on Shabbat morning. He convinced them, and so my bat mitzvah was not on Friday night. In addition to reading, I led the shacharit service, read my aliyah in the Torah, and chanted my haftorah as well. Many kids left Hebrew school after their bar or bat mitzvah. A handful wanted to go on to Hebrew high school. I joined a few students my age for Hebrew high school. We had an excellent teacher who taught us for the next 5 years. I already knew the other girls in these classes. 2 of them and I were close friends and still are. One, Merle, is my sister-in-law. I take some responsibility for my brother David dating and then marrying Merle. I and my 2 girlfriends also went to Camp Ramah, then in Connecticut and now in Palmer, Mass. Years after my bat mitzvah, a parent asked if her daughter could have a Shabbat morning bat mitzvah. The answer was no. The parents said, but Elizabeth Harris did. I don't know what excuse they used, but it was not permitted. Some years later, all kids moved to Shabbat morning as they should. Now females and males have equal responsibilities. When I was growing up, there was only one Jewish day school in the Hartford area, and it was Orthodox yeshiva. Later on, my mother taught at that school and found many positive aspects. She was sorry we had not studied there. My years at Ramah filled in some of the areas I had not studied in Hebrew school. In the 70s, a Solomon Schechter Day School opened in West Hartford. My parents provided some of the funds for scholarships. My brother David and Merle sent their son and daughter, who were among the students during the first year. When our son Jeremy moved to West Hartford, his children went to Solomon Schechter, and his wife Audrey worked there for several years. For me, Ramah became part of my life. We had to speak Hebrew then and go to 2 classes in the morning. One year we had private tutors and we could choose our study topic. I studied Hebrew grammar for 8 weeks. After meals, we usually sang. The singing at camp was terrific. We had a wonderful leader who got up on a chair after meals and led us. She was even up there when she was quite pregnant. After dinner and singing, we moved to our communal center for Israeli dancing. To this day, I enjoy singing, especially with Joey Weisenberg and his singers. At Amuna, we are fortunate to have staff and members who get together to sing. Between Ramah and Hebrew classes at the Emmanuel Synagogue, I was very fortunate to have an intensive Jewish Hebrew background. When I was about 15, I asked my parents if we could become kosher. At that point, my parents had friends who were kosher and could only eat a meal cooked outside in the grill. My request was timely and fulfilled by my parents. As an adult, I taught Hebrew school for a while. Once we moved to Lexington and joined Amuna, I began a series of volunteer positions. David Davidson, an early Amuna president, had grown up with my mother in Hartford, Connecticut. I have a feeling that he had suggested my name for a volunteer position at Amuna. Eventually, I became the first female president of Amuna. We sent our children to Solomon Schechter in Newton, Camp Ramah in Palmer, and Prosdor at Hebrew College. Our grandchildren in Newton went to JCDS, and our West Hartford grandchildren went to Solomon Schechter. Some went to Ramah in Palmer, and some to Ramah in the Rockies. I thought of giving this talk because our incredible Torah reader, Susan Lipson, spoke recently of not having a childhood opportunity to learn to chant Torah. She determined as an adult to learn. Susan, we can learn even as an adult. You are an amazing reader. Though I learned in Hebrew school to chant Torah, I am not even close to Susan's ability. Susan is a role model